Welcome to the Great Reboot. I'm Tori Ryden. Leadership. We are all craving it during this pandemic. And what we're learning from COVID-19 is that many people have boldly taken a step forward, from frontline medical personnel to folks who are running emergency food pantries and those many who have set up sewing armies, creating personal protection equipment, PPEs, to fill enormous need gaps. And there are creative leaders as well, musicians and artists who have boldly picked up the mantle to raise desperately needed funding to fight this corona beast. In his 2010 TED Talk, entrepreneur Derek Silvers explained that leaders are not the creators of an idea, policy, or behavior. They are the critical link for any movement to take off. They must, he said, be followers first. He said that, quote, when first followers outwardly demonstrate their commitment to someone else's idea, they attract more followers and make it socially acceptable for the masses to adopt that idea too. Boston Globe reporters Jason Pradarelli and Gerard Doherty reflected that during this pandemic, America needs more leaders who are first followers. In Portland, Maine, artist, influencer, and free spirit Zoo Cain embodies that follower-leader paradigm. Zoo's inspirational story was profiled in the documentary created by The Great Reboot co-producer Reggie Groff called Peace, Love, and Zoo.
As far as helping people in recovery, he is like the grandfather of this program. I mean, he just will not say no to anybody to ask for help. He goes into hospitals, he goes to jails, he goes to the youth center. Everywhere he goes, recovery follows him around, it seems like.
Those of us that have been touched by addiction in our families, it's often that you find yourself misunderstood as a caretaker. Zoo didn't question that, and I am forever grateful for all of the kindness that he showed my brother.
At 2:30 today, I go have a CT exam on a growth beside my kidney. It is a concern to me because I love living. I'm enjoying this lifetime so much that I'm not crazy about the idea of dying.
Emotionally, I think it was extremely challenging for him. I think he had some of the darkest days after he had gotten the chemo, where he basically became extremely depressed, felt alone, even isolated himself. But he always saw the light. He always saw that it was going to shift, because every day for him it was different.
If Zoo were to go, a lot would be gone. If you could say Portland is a puzzle, like an entire piece would be missing.
Well, he knows. You know, I've loved him since the day I met him. What would the world be like without him? It'd be a much darker world.
You feel that much happier for a man who has been through the mountains, the valleys, the difficulties, the beauty, through every possible, you could say, emotional aspect. And then now he's in this point of celebrating on the day of his anniversary in recovery, that it's also the day that they join in marriage.
I had already felt something unique, powerful, magnetic, and incredibly deep and loving, and I barely knew him. I knew that I couldn't let this man slip by. I couldn't not pursue this.
He's colorful, and not just the way he chooses to use color in his work, but his life is colorful.
I feel that his impact on this world is beyond measure.
Zoo is not a bystander in how he lives his life. He is in it.
The whole idea, I think, in life is to become more awake to the possibilities, to the realities of what's going on, which is glorious.
And Zoo Cain joins us now to the Great Reboot, and I want to welcome you, Zoo.
Well, thank you. It's lovely to be here this morning. Great to see you.
So good to have you here. First, I just want to say I hope you're feeling better. You were just sharing a few moments ago that you think you may have gone through COVID.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. I think I got it February 17th, and a month later, I felt okay. And it was pretty tough. I'm going to find out today, hopefully, with antibody, whether I can be out there in the mainstream a little bit and not worry about it so much.
Wow. Well, you are, if somebody had to kind of whittle down, in addition to artistic creative, you're also a fighter. And your documentary is just, and your story, just so powerful. And is very familiar to many people around the world. You struggled with drugs and alcohol. You all but lost your family to it, as well as other important relationships. But you're a fighter. You're a true fighting spirit.
Well, I actually feel more like an embracer. I don't fight things. I got cancer, and somebody said, "Oh my God, Zoo beat cancer." I said, I didn't beat anything. I embraced it, and it didn't really take me away. But yeah, fighting is not. I surrender to things and love my way out of it, create my way out of so many dilemmas that we all have in life.
Well, they say love is the answer. And, it's interesting. Your approach reminds me of the Native American approach, which is say hello to it, no matter how bad it is, say hello to it, and then respect it, and then ask it to get out of your way. And it sounds like
Totally.
you kind of took that on.
Absolutely. That is just the way I go about it.
You've, if you say your name anywhere, you live in the greater Portland, Maine area, and your influence is far-reaching. You've really impacted a lot of lives. I guess I want to kind of talk to you about your kind of great reboot through all of this. You think you may have fought this COVID-19, but what else, as far as kind of your daily link with other people, has changed, and kind of the positive impact you have on other people's lives? What have you had to do to make sure you can still reach these people who need you so desperately?
Well, first of all, you have to have humility during all, with any kind of relationships. And what I've done to stay connected to the recovering community is gone to Zoom meetings. Like, I've already been to 2 Zoom meetings this morning, and perhaps I'll go to Chicago tonight in another Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock. And it keeps me in check. It gives me my medicine for my no longer active addictions, but things I still need to keep. I need to have emotional sobriety, in other words, and I need to not pick up a joint or a can of beer today.
A joint or a jug, I guess.
Excuse me?
I said you don't need to pick up a joint or a jug.
Right. And I've been going at this for coming up on 30 years. I have 29 good years. And I want to
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to keep straight. I want to die clean and sober, and in the meantime, stay that way. That's my goal.
Will you, because I have not been to a meeting that you're talking about, I'm wondering if you can, take us through it, and how impactful is it? Because I feel like with AA, so much of it is that community, that shoulder to shoulder community, and helping people to stay accountable.
Yes. Well, for instance, the first meeting I went to was approximately 25 people. People shared their difficulties during this COVID-19 coronavirus, and they shared things about resentments or hardships away from their businesses and things like that. And we all just kind of witness to each other. Take people as they are at this moment. Don't try to fix or advise them so much as just witness their soul. And an hour later, we're all like in way better shape. Especially, if we brought anything to the meeting that was tough, we've kind of, rather than come more unraveled, become whole again. So it's basically group therapy. Any 12-step program in the world, there's probably 100 different 12-step programs, 99 or so, and they're all just, as far as I'm concerned, group therapy.
Without betraying, obviously, anything, because I know what happens in a meeting stays in a meeting and all that. But if you could generalize and share, I mean, this is a really difficult time, I would think, for anybody with substance abuse issues. You know, I just think you're seeing it's a desperate, helpless feeling that a lot of people are feeling. There's a lot of high anxiety. And, you know, plus you're seeing people saying, hey, join me for happy hour Zoom at 5 o'clock and we'll all raise a toast. I can't imagine that has to be tough for people who, I mean, even 29 years in, I would think that might be tough to hear that.
No, really. I recoil myself from drugs, jugs, and whatever you said. I recoil from that. It doesn't look appealing to me at all. Now, if I was to turn my back on my 12-step programs, all of a sudden I could get dry. I could get irritable and resentful and isolated. And then maybe possibly if I go through the liquor aisle, something may pop out and look good. But as it is now, you know, we do have people intervening in meetings with Jack Daniels commercials or something. You know, they call them Zoom bombers, I think. And you know, I just let it roll off me. It doesn't appeal to me to use. I mean, to be happy, joyous, and free is a marvelous feeling. I would not want to give that up, and a lot of people that are in the programs don't want to give it up. And
well, you wear it well.
Excuse me?
I said you wear it well. You can see it. You can see your happiness in your face and just your whole being.
It's great. You know, life on life's terms is a wonderful, beautiful thing when you have your clarity and you really find out who you are. And during this pandemic, this sheltering in place, you really have a lot of time to not be distracted by normal things. You're not traveling all around the world. You're sheltering in place, and it's really a good time to find out what the heck you're all about and do something with it. Create, organize your places, do things, organize and clean, you know, things that people normally would have to do to come into your place and after you're died and clean up. We're all doing that now before we ever have any of that happening. It's great.
It is a good feeling, and it makes you feel, I don't know, less cluttered in the mind too, right? It helps with
very
clarity,
much so. Yes. You know, I'm pretty sure Vietnam lasted 18 plus years, and we lost 58,000 people. Well, in America, we just lost 58,000 people in a month. So this is a very different time. This is definitely uncharted territory, and it's best to handle it the best you can. And you see a lot of people getting very angry, very mad at restrictions, and it's almost jaw-dropping to see how people are getting, you know, uptight about this. We're very divided in so many ways, but half of us are basically in the love triangle. We're trying to just love each other through this. So that's what I'm concentrating on.
And part of the love is putting others ahead of yourself and wearing a mask. I'm a big advocate. Wear the mask.
Oh,
if not
absolutely.
For yourself, then for others. I mean,
right. And I'm so glad Governor Janet Mills has asked us all to do that starting today. It's a beautiful thing.
So Zoo, you know, I think it's wonderful that you have access and so many other people have access to the internet, but I want to take a step back because there are an awful lot of people who don't. And homelessness is huge. And I'm wondering, what about the people who so depend on walking with their feet physically into a meeting, and they don't have internet, they don't have a laptop, they don't have a smartphone, they are homeless.
Right.
And, you know, as we know, all of that comes together. It's all tied in together, mental health and homelessness and substance abuse disorder. I mean, it's all together, and it's hard to figure out which came first.
Right.
And so how do we reach those many people who don't have access to the kinds of online support that you've been finding support through? What about them?
Well, I have been on the outskirts like that before, and I'm thinking that really it's kind of up to them in the universe. If they ask the universe for help, they can have a meeting with another buddy on the street corner or in a park, and they can have a meeting, the two of them or four of them, whatever. I mean, for a while there, we were having meetings in Deering Oaks. And so if you really want to change your life and you have a desire to get clean and sober, you can do it in spite of no meetings, physical. But this is all going to change. I mean, another month from now, all the meetings will probably be in session. So people have to just hang in there and live long enough to, and like I said, and they can be happy, joyous, and free with a snap of the middle finger and the thumb. I mean, really, if you really want it.
Zoo, I want to pick up on something that you just said that I love. You said that as far as meetings go, that it could just be two people having a meeting. And in the documentary, Peace, Love, and Zoo, I loved, and I know your friend is no longer with us, but
August, you're right.
I love how you met with her in the hospital. There she is in a hospital bed, and you're being there. You're taking the time and not rushing, and just being there with her and having meeting with her.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Hi, I'm Augustine. I'm an alcoholic. Today is December 3rd.
I guess I look at that and I think, wow, how the world has changed, and there are so many people absolutely alone, and you can't meet with those people now in the hospital. I'm wondering how deeply that touches you.
It definitely does, and I'm hoping what happens is the nurses and the doctors are probably going out of their body to help people in these instances where there is no visitors. I mean, nowadays we can't visit our husband or wife in the hospital. I mean, so I am sure the medical profession is just absolutely going the whole distance. And so, and you know, if you ask for your needs to be met, if you grab a doctor and say, hey, I need you to stay here for an extra minute, I need to talk with you. People have to ask for their needs to be met. People can't read our minds. We think they can, but they can't.
Well, that's a good point for the people who are actually conscious, I guess. And you know, there's so many people who, you know, are weak and beyond, and that's just so absolutely awful.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely unbelievable what's going on now, and I don't think people are really getting it. You know, when you're taking an M16 or AR-15 to the State House, you know, you're misunderstanding what these, and you know, strangely enough, coincidentally enough, people are mad at these women governors. You know, let's face it. I mean, come on already. You know, it took us 80 governors to finally get a woman. And people are really mad at her. And now the other guy wants to come back, and forget it. We've moved on already. I hope we never have another man governor for the next 80 years.
Let's shift a little bit, because just kind of moving away from that stuff.
Yes, of course.
So you and your wife have found yourselves in a kind of a unique situation, because I know that you were living apart for a while and you were trying to figure things out as far as she was working down in Boston and
Yes.
living on Cape Cod, I think. And
Yes.
so there was a lot of maneuvering for you to see one another. And now COVID, bam, there you are. You're not
Yeah.
6 inches apart from one another. So this is a huge transition for you. What's it been like?
Well, Cindy works at home in her office for 8 hours a day, takes out lunchtime, and she's working very hard. And I find myself in various studios around this place that we have. I work in my shed, I work in the wood sheds. Mainly I work in my studio, in the ground floor studio. And I have never been this focused in all my 45 years of doing artwork. And funny thing is it's all collages, mostly all collage and writing. And strangely enough, right in the middle of this incredible, from 9:30 in the morning till midnight doing collages, one of my favorite collages, Peter Beard, dies in New York at 82. And so now he's almost like over my shoulder and we're doing collages together. It's incredible because our collage books are very, very similar to begin with. And this guy documented all these extinction of elephants in different parts of the world. He threw up his hands long ago saying, forget it. We're overpopulated. We're going to all perish and we're going to do what the elephants did. We're going to consume everything and then we're going to die. And so he was, anyway, he was a great artist. And so I'm busy a lot.
Did he die of COVID related?
No, he died from, I think he got dementia and he went out on his property in Long Island, New York, and just disappeared. They found him a few days later. A neighbor found him, and he had just passed away from exposure or something. He was in nature, which is great. I hope I die in nature.
Yeah, it sounds kind of lovely.
Yes.
What have you learned, I guess, from yourself? We've all been spending a lot more time with ourselves, and I'm wondering, what have you learned about yourself, and what do you want to share about? I keep saying to people, do art. It shifts your brain over. You will feel so much better. And I'm just wondering, what do you say about it? And, what is the value of art, particularly right now?
Yeah, well, I've already been extremely prolific. I've done thousands upon thousands of artworks, but I found a Zen peace in me in this isolation, and the sheltering in place is how I like to call it. Sheltering in place I found is extremely enjoyable, but at the same time, I'm in contact with at least 10 strong people a day, 10 different people. What I mean by is strongly communicating with 10 different individuals, people that are hurting, people that are, a couple of them at least, reading literature together, talking. And so I just found that I'm okay with anything. Because we do not know the future. This could be, our pig farms in South Carolina could cause a way more worse pandemic than we're experiencing now. So I'm kind of getting ready for whatever this world has to offer, bad and good. And I find that I'm at peace with it. After all, though, I am 67. You better be at peace with things when you're starting to look right down the barrel of 70. I don't mean to say right down the barrel. I mean a nice barrel, not a shotgun. But yeah, I find that, and I'm very forgiving. I'm looking at you, and I don't have any preconceived notions. All I see is your essence, and that's what's been going on with me. So I would advise people to do whatever they can to create anything. Pick up that violin that's been sitting in your closet for years and play the heck out of it, and you'll feel way better. Play the piano, draw, write, whatever is in there, do it. That book you've been always tinkering with in your mind. Write the doggone thing.
Can this last? Do you think this can last?
What's that?
This whole sense of we're all in this together, and kind of, love is the answer, and really trying to be good citizens, and being there for one another. Do you think this type of, I guess, vibe, or do you think it can last? I mean, do you truly think that there are many people who say we'll never go back to whatever normal is, right? Normal is such a weird word anyway, right? But if we do go back to a semblance of what was, can we carry on this good feeling?
Well, I don't think a lot of people are. I think half of us might be experiencing good feelings. The other half are pretty darn mad. And it's an inside job. We have to work on ourselves internally. I'm of the mind that however when we pass away, we bring all the baggage with us, whether it's good or bad. So we might as well get it right this time. We might as well love unconditionally no matter what goes on. I mean, it could get very, very dark in this planet. If the water keeps rising too much, we're overpopulated. We never get a chance to talk about that. We're talking about abortion rights. We're talking about gay rights. We're talking about gay marriage. We're talking about marijuana laws. I mean, what the heck are we doing? Give people freedoms, and then let's address the gigantic issues that are really facing us. So yeah, I think love can last. Absolutely. It has to. It has to blossom more and more and more as we face more hardships.
You've named a couple of people who have inspired you, who continue to inspire you. I'm wondering, is there any reading that you'd like to share with folks where they might get some additional inspiration, or are there artists in addition to your work? And can people find your work? It would be a great time for you to give a website or any information.
Well, my website happens to not be around at the moment, but all people have to do is Google my name and they'll see stuff. I have to think of The Overstory by Richard Powers. That is one of the most powerful books I have ever read. And it's all about trees, basically, and people. And it's just an astonishing book. So I would recommend The Overstory to everybody. And then, of course, The Book Thief. That's a great book. I did read something recently that was such a marvelous thing. It's about witnessing people as they are. Oh, here it is here. Let me see if I can see it. That's going to be the trick. The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed, to be seen, heard, and companioned exactly as it is. When we make that kind of deep bow to the soul of a suffering person, our respect reinforces the soul's healing resources, the only resources that can help the sufferer make it through. And that's written by Parker Palmer. And that kind of says it a lot, when you're intermingling with another human being or another animal or a tree or whatever.
I think people kind of forget that piece. It's funny. I don't mean to keep delving back into the Native American, but the whole philosophy is, we need each other at exactly the same amount, right?
Yes.
They need us to exhale carbon monoxide. We need them to exhale oxygen. And without that, relationship, we're sunk.
Yeah, that's right. It's an old cliche now, but like Rodney King said a long time ago during the Los Angeles riots, after he got the crap knocked out of him, why can't we just all get along? And that's truer today than ever. I am not a hateful guy. I don't hate anybody. I don't really resent anybody this morning, and I want to keep it that way. I am a right-winger's nightmare. I'm so liberal, but I am not going to have a feud with a guy that's got opposing views than me.
Give us, if you would, 3 things people can do today to kind of help themselves. I mean, there might be some people who are from the argumentative and they're really angry right now. Maybe speak to them, and then you've also got people who have already kind of tapped into that other side. And I would love for you to, because I think we're here and we can all, I mean, we're all human beings. And so if we can't learn from one another, what the heck, right? Why are we here?
Right. Well, I would suggest that that we try to have some peace within ourselves. And I really do believe that each individual one of us has to ask the universe for help, for assistance, and then ask other people for help. Make contact. Don't isolate. Don't be so, I don't want to keep saying don't, but be careful of living in fear. Face everything and rise rather than live in the fear. Reach out to somebody that is in trouble. If somebody's sick and suffering, they're the sick and suffering ones. Don't expect them to call you, call them. And one other thing I'd like to say is your first instinct when you have a friend that's got a broken leg and is laid up, you think, okay, I got to get over there this morning and give them, bring them a sandwich and something to drink and say hello. And then the second thought is, well, I'm kind of busy. Let's do it later. And the third thought is, well, that guy has plenty of friends. They'll do it. And then the fourth thought is, I don't really even like that guy. But really, the first thought is the right one. You love that person and you want to help, go do it. Don't, there's that don't word again, but be careful of not listening to your instincts. Your instincts are beautiful. So, go with the instinct that is cool.
You know what I call that, Zoo? Paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. We overthink. We overthink things. It's good to try not to overthink the heck out of stuff.
Yeah.
I overthink a right turn. Am I going to put my blinker on? There's nobody around. Do I really need my blinker? I don't want to wear my blinker out. And, by the time I get to the turn, I don't know if I'm going left, right, or straight, or what I'm doing. I've confused myself. Keep it simple is my best advice.
Yeah.
Suit
and,
up and show up.
I think that we are so much more tapped into one another than we give ourselves credit for. And when somebody kind of crosses your mind, pick up the phone and call them, because there might be a really good reason why they just crossed your mind.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. We are spiritual beings having a human existence. Let's try to tap more into the spirituality of all of us instead of finding fault. We don't have the whole story with anybody. We think we do. We come on the scene with limited data and we make assessments, judgments. I can't even judge anybody internally. It's best I don't do that. Oh my God, do I have to see that person or listen to that person again? It's best I don't go there. It's best I look at them and see the humanity in them and really just enjoy them instead of finding fault. Oh my word.
Hey, listen, before we leave, I would love for you to give any advice you have as an artist to people who say, you guys are nuts to say that I should be doing artwork. I am the furthest thing from an artist. Yeah. What do you tell those people? What can they do artistically, and what do they need to start with? Do they even need a paintbrush? They don't have to have professional, gear. I mean, what the heck? I think that I saw something last night that, who was it? One of the painters, or a bunch of them, used to use eggs, right? Egg yolk was the start. And then they would find different pieces of color to add in. I mean, you can make your own paints if you needed to, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, people just need to, whatever floats into their mind, if they like poetry and they've always kind of wanted to put some words together, just do that. Make a birdhouse if you can. I mean, you're a lucky person if you can make a birdhouse. And the world needs plenty of birdhouses. Make a bird feeders. Just do anything that's going to give you, get you your brain, both sides of it working. I mean, a lot of us have the left or the right side of the brain really in business. We need to get both sides integrated and flowing. And then we won't have all these problems with each other, because we'll be thinking holistically and nicely, and we'll be calm. And I think, we got to find the Zen within us. I mean, that may sound strange to people, but Google Zen. Ask Siri what Zen means. Ask Siri what Buddha means and Dharma, and find out where you're really coming from, because it's really glorious. And it's way bigger than you think. Beautiful.
Zoo Cain, thank you so much for sharing
I appreciate
yourself.
Tori.
Yeah, this has been great. And I know that you've got a lot more, creating to do. I was going to call it work. It's not work. It's creation.
Fun work.
Fun stuff. And I want to let you get back to that. But thank you so much for all that you do for so many people. And just your spirit is just infectious. So thank you for that. And I just wish you all the best through this and continued good health. Let's hope that if you did indeed have COVID, may your antibodies help to work somebody else and help to free somebody else from COVID.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful pleasure and very enjoyable. And you have a remarkably nice spirit. I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate what you and Reggie are doing. It's wonderful. I can't wait to see what you've been up to. Thank you.
To be who he is and to express himself as he does, it means you have to have such fearlessness, such courage, such honesty with yourself, honesty with the world.
There's no shackles for Zoo. It's just one big continuity. It's one big expression of joy and art.
His soul was deteriorating at one time, but 25 years ago, his soul stopped deteriorating and started letting the light in, and the light shines through him to other people.
I just think he feels more in his little pinky than most people ever will feel. It's just how he's made.
What he does is what he loves, and what you see is who he is. There's no facades, there's no masks.
He just has a lot of wisdom, and he's good at imparting it. He's just really got that gift, and a lot of us are the better because of it.
What can I say about life? I mean, life moves on with or without you, within you, without you, and I'm just motoring along to be in bliss. All you simply have to do is go down the river of life, make changes, make improvements, pray, be kind. And the whole key to all of it is patience. Yeah, I'm living the life I want to live, for sure. I'm creating, I'm loving. I don't have any regrets. I don't have any needs or wants. Just in the moment where I want to be.